Hello, Joshi Green Tea Gal, and welcome back to the channel. There's a metric ton of new anime dropping this spring, so once again it falls to me to give you a quick and dirty rundown of the BL hopefuls airing next in every season, each handpicked morsel tailored specifically to your refined palate. Let's dig in. Will is back in Wissoria Wand and Sword Season 2. Will was born without powers in a world of magic and decided to take that personally. As the only dude to bring a sword to a wizard fight, Will's proving himself daily and climbing the ranks in his Harry Potter school. The I have no magic and I must scream premise is usually plunked into an action-heavy setting, but Wissoria always manages to make time to show us how many people are obsessed with Will, despite how vocal and how violent his haters have been. So like all good shonen protagonists, Will's got accidental riz, and has built himself a nice little harem, and since this anime made my list, you already know half of that harem is male. On top of the flirty roommate and the tsundere redhead, a new Forever Twink was added to the mix at the end of Season 1, and it looks like he's taking Will under his wing to help him shine in the I got no magic but I got muscle club. Speaking of fish out of water storytelling, only human in the demon world Iruma is back and making big moves in Marimashita Iruma-kun Season 4. Ever since pink-haired demon simp Asukun decided to become Iruma's ride or die in episode 1, the show has thrown at least 4 different, we'll say admirers at Iruma by the end of Season 1, with a possible 5th being introduced in the teaser for Season 4. In fact, a very unsubtle BL subplot bloomed between Iruma and Genki inventor Kiryu across multiple seasons. He seemed pretty harmless at first, but Kiryu is a closet freak and a sadist. To complicate matters, Iruma's biggest secret gets leaked to the worst kind of people towards the end of Season 3. Humans are just food to demons. So finding out Iruma's secret pushes Kiryu's already very unhealthy fixation with Iruma into psychosis and vor territory. Iruma might get stronger every day, but despite the jokes, bright colors, and that this season is pushing the spotlight and stage angle, the BL flavored thread on Iruma's life is still in play. Mission Yosakura Family is getting a well-deserved second season. Perpetually stressed out MC Tayo was love-bombed and flirted with so hard in Season 1. This wacky spy vs spy anime actually made my best ships of 2024 list. With any luck, horniest of simps Skio will keep popping in to dote, fuss, and fawn over him, despite Tayo being both straight and married. But it's not a coincidence that Skio's name means moon while Tayo means sun. But just in case Skio's inevitable zesty cameos aren't enough, judging from the male Bestie Comes First style posters, it looks like this season will focus on the dynamic between the MC and his overbearing but well-meaning brother-in-law, Kyoichiro. Granted, Tayo puts himself through all this bullshit to toughen up and protect his fiancée from harm, but in order to do that, he constantly has to be trained in the weirdest ways possible by a gaggle of quirky dudes, including Poster Boy, his toughest critic, whom he must constantly win the approval of. Meanwhile, the huge cast and chaotic plot often has waifu kinda pushed to the background or nowhere to be found at all. I'm not saying Tayo doesn't love Mitsumi, far from it, but it's a choice to make her, a capable spy herself, this damsel in distress or untouchable princess to be protected, instead of a more present and involved part of the MC's life. I've seen this white knight keeps wifey at a distance thing before, and it don't look good. I swear this anime gets off on keeping us waiting, but Go For It Nakamura is finally dropping this spring. In case you're like me and have completely forgotten what the fuck this was even about. The boys haven't met yet, but during the school entrance ceremony, Nakamura Okto takes one look at his cute classmate Hirose and instantly catches all of the feelings. But rather than simp from afar forever, our shy boy MC summons all of the courage in his body to actually talk to him, with a very respectable goal of at least becoming good friends first. Honestly, it doesn't get much more pure than this. And maybe by the end of the season, he and Hirose can give the two kings of fluffcore BL a run for their money. Marriage Toxin is a bit of an oddball this season. It stars perpetually maidenless good boy Hikaru, trying to protect his gay sister from becoming unwilling baby factory for his frankly psychotic family by just getting married and giving them an heir himself. The very premise would make you think there couldn't possibly be a reason for it to make my list, but something in my highly trained Fujo gut was telling me not to rule this one out. Him needing the threat of Sister Grape to motivate him into actually talking to women might not be an accident. All the promo material pushing what looked like the waifu he'd be shipped with turned out to be a cross-dressing marriage scammer. Saying this will go full-blown BL this soon would be silly, but it's always nice to know my instincts were right. I was starting to think all male sports anime were going extinct, but keep hope alive because we're getting at least 3 this year. Zero Rise is the latest and greatest in twunk technology. Not only has it been way too long since I got a new basketball anime, Zororise kicks it up a notch by being dirty, unregulated streetball. As the all-male cast balls so hard they lift themselves out of poverty. Rags to Riches success story aside, this should be a nice little Fujo snack while we wait for fresh Blue Lock to drop this fall. Not quite sure who I should be shipping the MC Modoka with, but from proximity, I'm gonna say this beefy strawberry blonde. It's not anime if we haven't turned the concept of seasons into husbandos and given them weapons. As far as quirky premises go, Agents of the Four Seasons Dance of Spring could be the dark horse of the season. Granted, this is the new Wit Studio joint, the studio who's never been shy around a BL ship. But Four Seasons made the list for these two moody dudes in the trailer. I'm not saying they're BL coded, but I'm not saying they're BL coded either. The Agent of Winter is played by our brutiest husbando Ryose, and is accompanied at all times by his guard and ride or die Itacho. Sure, they're sharing an umbrella in this manga cover, but I'm sure we'll find out they were just roommates. In the not-too-distant future, unsurprisingly, things go to shit, and Japan enters the second feudal era in Nippon Sangoku, the three nations of the Crimson Sun. Diplomacy is dead, Japan is fractured into three warring states, and no one has known peace since. But our quietly charismatic MC hopes to be the grain of rice that tips the scales. Mitsumi will end this bloodshed and reunify Japan once more, purely through the power of persuasion. It's already enough that they're living through Bakamatsu Part 2 Electric Boogaloo, insert any Rurouni Kenshin footage here. But I'm really throwing this on my BL bucket list for the us against the world team-up I see brewing between Mitsumi and his pretty swordsman ride-or-die, Yoshitsune. We've got another Private Dick anime on our hands and Killed Again, Mr. Detective. The twist is that it stars MC with negative plot armor. Otsuki is an aspiring sleuth with a famous detective father that somehow keeps dying in the line of duty, only to be magically revived to solve the case. The detective dies in no time, is a black comedy disguised as a spooky romance. But on top of being part of the single gayest anime subgenre per capita, of all the male-led supernatural detective shows, there are like, 6 that actually skew hetero? And I'm not so sure this will be the 7th. It's 6 o'clock somewhere in Drops of God. Shizuku, the reluctant son of a renowned wine sommelier, wanted nothing to do with the industry that was force-fed to him since childhood. But when it turns out his father adopted Issei, the Prince of Wine, a week before his death, suddenly he is in danger of losing everything, including his birthright, the estate. The poster alone was enough for me to give this a look. And frankly, there's no way two dudes beefing over Merlot wasn't gonna make my list. I haven't even seen Inuyasha and I could tell Mao was from the same creator. We got another girl twink anime on our hands. I know anime designs can get a bit androgynous, but you gotta love how often it looks like they just swapped the main character's gender at the last possible minute and didn't feel like redesigning them from scratch. Because if you told me there was a draft of Mao where the MC was just male, I'd believe you. TLDR, this is at least the 4th anime this year with this specific ship dynamic. Looks like we got a fresh dark-haired twink in a combat anime with a non-combat power for the pile. The strongest job is apparently not a hero or a sage, but an appraiser, is the latest in the weirdly specific appraisers being the strongest because I said so genre. And like most power fantasy anime, it's a needlessly horny time. But I'm getting the strongest impression strongest job will cast its fanservice net a little wider than usual. For one, I believe this tan twunk is their idea of God, and for two, Japan is consistently weird about dogmen, to the point where more than half of the anime featuring one usually gets zesty at least thrice. The beginning after the end is back with season 2. In case you forgot, this one is one of several anime where a grizzled little badass gets reincarnated into a magical world with his mind and badassery intact. MC Arthur was pretty lonely as King Grey in his old life, but his new isekai power fantasy throws a lot of new connections at him. A new loving family, waifus, pets, and now that he's a bit older, a brand new mostly male crew. And from the looks of things, he's gonna need them. Juso's in his chaotic twink era in Kill Blue, where another grizzled 40-year-old assassin gets cursed, or blessed, to be a 9th grader again. But he's not able to enjoy this second life as the killer is still after him. The mostly male cast is a given at this point, and there's just something about the type of anime that needs to star a forever twink just to exist. Also, if I had a nickel for every grizzled silver-haired assassin that got put back in a high school body but continued to be badass, I'd have 2. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. The snarky rule breaker girl might date the hard-ass rule lover boy setup of Tonkatsu Fukin Toskato Take ga Tekisetsu na JK no Hanashi. Seems to be your standard opposites attract style of chaotic rom-com. And it is, but I'm throwing this into my big ol' Fujo chum bucket for its mostly male cast and the green-haired bestie who already seems to have his eye on the male lead. And last but never least, Winter's Isekai Office Worker is getting a bonus episode. And that's my list. If there's anything you're looking forward to that I missed, feel free to yell at me about it in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and check out the other channels and the Facebook page for even more content in every single video YouTube wouldn't let me post. Bye for now.